Well, my theory is that we all like to be scared. We all like scary books at every age if we know we're safe at the same time. I always call my books safe scares. And the kids going out and having these creepy adventures, fighting these werewolves, turning invisible, having these horrible things happen, and they're in their room. They know they're safe in their room reading. And I think that's a big part of the appeal. I always liken it to like a roller coaster ride. When you go on a roller coaster for thrills, and but you get on it, you know what to expect. It's going to be very fast and very exciting. It'll be a lot of curves, a lot of twists and turns, and a lot of screams, and it's going to let you off nice and safe at the end. And that's sort of what my books are like.
Now, you've written some older kids' books. Do you feel like as you get older, you're more able to play with the idea of the roller coaster? You're going to throw somebody off a roller coaster at some point? Do these books get a lot scarier as they get older?
Well, the teen books, my Fear Street series and the other teen books I've done, they had murders in them. And they had, kids dying, teens in terror. They were always, scarier. They were, kind of murder thrillers. No one ever dies in Goosebumps. It's just, that's out. My rule with Goosebumps is, because these are 7 to 12-year-olds, and my rule with those books is nothing real ever gets in. They have to know it's a fantasy. They have to know that what happens in these books could never happen in real life.
Okay. And I read one of your books about a kid that turns into, he sleeps in the wrong bed, and he keeps going through different realities, and he ends up a squirrel at some point. And then the ending was unexpected to me because his mother makes him a surprise of giving him this bed to sleep in. And the end of the book is he just sort of giving it away, but he begins screaming at the end of the book. And I thought,
Yeah, well, he's
that's a
mostly
surprise.
they have happy endings, though.
Yeah.
Mostly, kids really want happy endings in these books. I once did a Fear Street book, and it had just for fun, I put an unhappy ending.
Just for fun.
It was called The Best Friend. And just for fun for me. I mean, I have to have some fun, right? Writing all these books. And just for fun, I had the bad girl win at the end. And the good girl is taken away as a murderer. And the bad girl wins. The end. And I started getting letters from kids. They turned on me. It was incredible. They hated this. And I got letters. Dear RL Stine, you moron. How could you do that? Dear R.L. Stine, you idiot. Are you going to write a sequel to finish the story? They just couldn't accept it.
Yeah.
And so I wrote a sequel and finished the story for them. Because it haunted me everywhere I went. Somebody would raise their hand at every school and say, how could you do that in that book? I couldn't believe you did that. So I wrote a sequel.
Now, how often have you had that kind of controversy surround your books? Do you, I think you've been banned once or twice.
I've been banned a lot. I'm quite proud of that. Goosebumps is one of the most banned book series of the 90s. We're in the top 10. Banned, which I'm in very good company. Huck Finn and Catcher in the Rye, and I'm in very good company with that. There's actually, I have to say, considering these are scary books and, the subject matter, there was much less controversy over the Goosebumps books than I imagined. Partly because it's so hard to get kids to read these days. And I think teachers and reading teachers and librarians and parents were so thrilled to see that kids were excited about reading, that they found, the kids wanted to read more and more of these. To this day, I have so many parents come up and say, thank you for getting my kid to read. Thank you. I found my kid reading at 2 a.m. under the blankets with a flashlight. Thank you for, getting them started.
As a writer, how do you deal with the controversy, though? I mean, it's great. And now you're at a point in your career where it's great. You can say, you know, I've been banned more than anybody, but I imagine the first time somebody bans your book, it comes as a surprise, a little
Well,
shocking.
it wasn't a horrible shock just because of the nature of the books. And it was mostly in school libraries. And I believe that schools have the right to decide what books they have in their libraries. I don't think schools should be forced to put every book in the library.
Okay.
And I think it's, you know, it seemed to me fine for, if the school doesn't want to have Goosebumps and they think it's objectionable, the kid can read Goosebumps at home. Fine, go home and read it and, you know, and enjoy it. I would never want to tell schools what kind of books they should have in their libraries. You know, this is a very difficult problem.
And as you were saying earlier at a talk you gave, when you were a child, you brought home comic books that your mom didn't like, and she refused to let you have them in the house, so you had to read them at the barber shop. So hopefully
These were, you know, the EC horror comics from the 50s, Tales from the Crypt and the Vault of Horror. And they really are revolting comics. I was just drawn to them, partly because the art was so amazing. Those guys were just incredible cartoonists. And they always had a funny ending. There's always a funny twist at the end, which I just loved. Love those comics. And I think that's what drew me, I think, to Ray Bradbury. And when I was 9 or 10, other science fiction writers, Isaac Asimov, Robert Sheckley. I started reading all those people because they always had great endings. They were surprises. They weren't just, you know, one line. They weren't linear. And I think that's one reason why kids like my books so much, is that they're not linear. So much of children's literature just goes in a straight line, and you know where it's going to go, you know what they're doing. My books, you know, I spend all my time trying to keep them from guessing what's going to happen next.
You've got there's a Goosebumps series of graphic novels. How have you negotiated how far those go? Because they're not like...
Yeah, I don't know. Those came as a surprise to me. I just saw them when they came out.
Okay.
They took my stories, and they were very faithful to the stories. And some of the art I thought was kind of strange, and some of it I liked, but I didn't have anything to do with those books, really.
Okay.
They just came as a surprise to me, which is kind of fun. You
Yeah.
know? It was kind of fun. It's like the Goosebumps TV show, which they still show every year. They were from the 90s, and they show them on Cartoon Network. And other people I was writing a Goosebumps every month. I had no time to work on the scripts, so it was kind of fun for me to see what other authors would, you know, take my story and then go off on their own with. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Okay, I was going to say that I can see a lot of authors being upset by somebody else didn't have the vision that they had. You know, they cast the wrong person for the role. It's not the person you imagined it would be.
No, I enjoyed that part. Of course, my favorite thing about having a TV series based on your books is when kids come up to you and say, I like the book much better than the TV show. I love that.
Yeah. And you go, so do I. So do I.
I love that.